News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. We have some prisoners coming home tonight, including Wall Street Journal journalist, a reporter, Evan Gerskovich, and a couple other folks, two other folks. In exchange for what, though? In exchange for a Russian assassin who was serving a life sentence in Germany for the 2019 murder of a Georgian citizen inside of Germany. So he is an assassin. He was carrying out the killing on the orders of the Russian government, according to Breitbart.com, and they're reporting today on the orders of the Russian government, which supplied him with false identity, false papers, and other resources. And Germany said Russia conducted a political execution on German soil, was a serious violation of German law and German sovereignty. Can you imagine somebody coming here and killing somebody in the name of their dictator government on our soil, carrying out executions? No. Biden and Biden's taking credit for this. I am so awesome. I am incredible. Orange man never would have gotten this. It's because of my relationships. I'm awesome. He broke his arm today. I don't know if you noticed that from patting himself on the back so hard. Here he is. I saved the hostages.
Today is a powerful example of why it's vital to have friends in this world. Friends you can trust, work with, and depend upon, especially on matters of great consequence and sensitivity like this.
He also injected a sour partisan note in his statement, Breitbart reported, by claiming he has been working since before his inauguration on Russian prisoners he, quote, inherited from the prior administration, meaning that Trump. All right, dude, here's the thing. Well, I'm going to let Robert O'Brien, the former national security director under President Donald J. Trump, say why this is bad. And this is not the only time Joe has given up something, traded something, or bribed corrupt people that have kidnapped our citizens in exchange for horrible situations. The last time, remember, Biden didn't give a frog's fat you-know-what about Paul Whelan, a former Marine who was freed today, too. Finally, he saw the black lesbian WNBA player who took in hashish oil, not marijuana vape, hashish oil. Wall Street Journal reported. She thought she can get away with it because Russia kissed her rump because she's such a good player, and Joe is all about identity politics. So he freed her before a man that's been there for 2, 3, 4 years, wrongfully imprisoned. She was there for like a month. But he bribes people. He sends the message, kidnap innocent Americans, and we will bribe you. We will give you the worst criminals. The last time he did this for Russia, for Brittany Griner, it was for a man called the Merchant of Death, our FBI. 60 Minutes, the whole story, and I played it for you. The guy was killing our troops, supplying like arms that you cannot get, like heavy military-grade weaponry. He was Putin's number one weapons smuggler. He also smuggled like heavy artillery vehicles, along with Stinger missiles that take helicopters out. He was selling them to people in Afghanistan. He killed tens of thousands of Africans by saying, here's the guns, African people, kill each other. Putin wanted them back last year because he wants to move arms for Ukraine. So Joe is sending the worst and most dangerous terrorists and criminals and war criminals to Russia in exchange for people they kidnap. It incentivizes it, means you are next if they can get their hands on you. Here is Robert O'Brien, former national security director under Donald J. Trump, to say why, say what time it is here with this.
Well, look, President Trump got home over 55 American hostages from places like North Korea, Iran, Russia, Yemen. We used military operations where we could and rescued people with our military. We never paid a ransom, and we never traded a terrorist, a arms dealer, a assassin. A spy. We never traded those people to get innocent Americans back.
Yeah, and Joe Biden also paid the Iranians, which are Jew killers and terrorists that are about to try to annihilate Israel again. That's their mission. He gave them $6 million for 6 hostages that Iran kidnapped. That were in Iran, and so he bribes them, and he gives them more money to kill more Jews and to have more bombs to kill more of all of us. Death to Israel first, then death to America. So that's what he does. And Trump freed more hostages in 4 years than all of Obama's 8 years, and he didn't give them one dang thing. He said, "Here's my cojones; they're on the table. Give me those people back," and they did. You got it? Big difference. Biden incentivizes this. So here's my questions for you. And by the way, they're going to be at Dover Air Force Base tonight to greet the hostages. I wonder if they're going to greet like they did those 13 soldiers Joe Biden got killed in Afghanistan. Kamala was the last one in the meeting there for Afghanistan and said, "I sign off on this. It's great." And then you saw the disaster and all the troops killed because they freed thousands of prisoners. They're ISIS and Al Qaeda, and 3 days later they killed us and blew us up, our soldiers up at the airport. And Joe Biden's disgusting disaster that he and Kamala are proud of to this day. Anyway, last time he was at Dover is when he greeted those 13 coffins, and he looked at his watch. Remember that? Several times he looked at his watch. And it was documented by pictures in the press and the Associated Press, all the big ones. Yes, he looked at his watch. He's like, "What time is it? Who gives a frog's bad ass about these dead people?" Excuse my language. Is Biden trying to so tonight, is he going to be staring at his watch when these people arrive? I don't know. Or is it only when he gets people killed and their coffins are coming on the tarmac? Is Biden trying to set the table for Kamala to act like they have actually achieved something in the last 4 years? That's my question for you. I got 2 of them. Is Biden trying to set the table? Do you think Biden's trying to set the table for Kamala? She's going to be there with him tonight. "I did all this." He was trying to imply that today. She did nothing. She didn't even do anything. "I did it all, Chris. You don't know what you're saying." Is Biden trying to set the table for Kamala to act like they've actually achieved something in the last 4 years? And are you okay with trading legitimate criminals with innocent hostages? 800-288-WBAP is our number. Chime in right now. Line's wide open. I want to hear from you right now. We'll pop you right on. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Is Biden trying to set the table for Kamala to act like they've actually achieved something in the last 4 years? And are you okay with trading legitimate criminals for innocent hostages? Do you know what this does? It encourages more terrorist and hostile nations and enemies of ours, whether it be China, Iran, North Korea, Russia, et al., and Afghanistan. I'm sure that'll happen in the near future. All these things to take us, to find us on the streets and kidnap us, hold us hostage so they can get terrorists or money out of us. And Joe was happy to oblige. So Joe changed that dynamic. Barack Hussein Obama and Joe Biden changed the dynamic. And in between those years, the 4 years of Trump freed more hostages, as I said, than I think it was 57, or was it 157? I can't remember what he said there. I can play it again, but here we go.
Well, look, President Trump got home over 55 American hostages.
Yeah, 55 American hostages in 4 years without paying anybody anything or swapping anything. He just got them back. He put his what's on the table and got it. Biden got 57 back, and all he did was bribe and give them terrorists and murderers and warlords. Ken in Arlington, you're on WBAP. Hello.
Hey, Putin's rebuilding his army. Didn't he get a mass murderer in trade for Brittany Griner last year?
No, he got the Merchant of Death, and that's the FBI and the Biden Justice Department and the prior Justice Department that prosecuted him in 60 Minutes a couple years ago. The Merchant of Death, Victor Bout. It looks like Bout, but it's pronounced Boot. And Putin needed him back because he flies in. We're talking, he has all these old mega cargo planes, like we have C-130 transports that can have have tanks. He's got like a fleet of those Russian retired ones that work fine. The government gave them to him, and he's running arms for Putin, and he's back. And this guy he wanted back too. He's an assassin. And guess what I heard today from retired General Jack Keane, who was in the Pentagon just before in the Trump office before he left. Now he's at the Institute for the Studies of War, and he's a regular Fox News contributor. He said today, I've heard two things today. Putin is very weak. He's at the weakest he's ever been. Here's Joe giving him money and making him look good. That's Dan Hoffman, former station chief for the CIA in Moscow. But here's the other thing. Putin needed this. This is a huge victory for him, is what Major General Jack Keane said, because he started a war he thought he could finish in 2 weeks. It's 3 years later. It's a disaster that he's killing hundreds of thousands of Russians that are being forced to conscript. He's sending criminals. It's a disaster. He's still bogged down in it. It's almost a stalemate. He's still kind of winning, and he's going to win. But he said it is a victory for Putin because he can distract and make himself look good. He's a hero at home now. He brought home some Russians.
But he's getting his loyalists back, and that's what Putin needs.
That's exactly what he also said. His loyalists, the people, because everybody's turning on him because he's killing everybody.
See, because Putin needs to win that war in Ukraine, and these two guys last year and this year is going to help him.
He can't do it. They are, but he also can't do it without the support of the people. They can overthrow him. Alexei Navalny was the guy who was going to be the new president of Russia because he's legit and the people wanted him. Every time he could snap his fingers. I got to go, Ken, but thanks. He could snap his fingers. I heard one of the experts today say he could snap his fingers as a opponent of Putin, and 1 million people would show up on the streets like within an hour because they want to be free there. And so Putin had him killed, for example. Anyways, great call. Thanks for sparking more conversation. All right, I want to ask you, is Biden trying to set the table for Kamala to act like they've actually achieved something in the last 4 years? And are you okay with trading legitimate criminals with innocent hostages? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. I'm going to give you some more details from these experts, and I'm going to give you more details on how bad, what they say, why this is so bad, and how bad these people are that Biden freed today in exchange for our hostages. Next. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Is Biden trying to set the table for Kamala to act like she and him have actually achieved something in the last 4 years by doing this Russian prisoner swap, even though it's literally a bad thing? And I'll continue to explain why, as I have been. Number two, so that's my first question. Is Biden trying to set the table for Kamala to act like they've actually achieved something in the last 4 years? Number two, are you okay with trading legitimate criminals with innocent hostages? That's a big one, isn't it? Are you okay with trading legitimate criminals with innocent hostages? 800-288-WBAP is our number. Chime in right now. Lines wide open. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. So I've told you about one of the prisoners that was given up that we had in our custody. Actually, Germany had he's a assassin, and he worked for the Russian government, and they made him all these fake identity papers and everything and sent him into Germany to kill one of the people they wanted him to assassinate, and he did. And he was an assassin. And for that, he was in life in jail in Germany. So we gave up that guy, along with two others that you're going to hear about right now. These are really, really bad people. One of them, they're not as bad as the one Joe did for Brittany Griner, the Merchant of Death, Victor Boot. That was amazing to me. He has a fleet, like probably 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 C-130 type transports that can have tanks in them. And he's flying massive amounts of weaponry to our enemies in Afghanistan to kill us back in the day, and just all over the world. And Joe's like, you can have him. Putin wanted him so he could help Ukraine because he needs all that heavy weaponry. He needs to move it around. He needs to smuggle it in, get it from wherever with all the sanctions and everybody dying. His money, not his money, but his war materials running out. China's doing a great job of supplying a lot of that, and you don't hear Joe say anything about that. Shh, let them win a little bit. We'll win a little bit. We'll make the war machine money. So one of them works for the FSB. Now, that is the Russian intelligence. It's the Federal Counterintelligence Service. So one of them. So we're talking about a spy here. A spy, Joe freed a spy today, too, who smuggled hundreds of thousands of illicit munitions in support of Moscow's war machine using front companies to conceal his criminal enterprises. Our Justice Department, who prosecuted him, said that at the Justice Department's National Security Division when he was arraigned. He was sentenced to 9 years in prison in Boston by a federal jury September 23rd. So the guy's not September 2023. The guy's not even in jail for a year and he's out. Another guy did a $93 million stock market cyber crime. Wait till you hear this. Look who else Joe freed. These are hostages of ours. They're not criminal. Our guys didn't do anything wrong. Here's another one. A cyber criminal who was sentenced to 14 years in 2017 for running a massive crime ring that stole the identities of American citizens and used them for $50 million in credit card fraud, bank fraud, and other crimes. So here's one of the people that steals your identity, by the way. But he stole $50 million in credit card fraud. He sold so many stolen identities to people automatically, through online, that he had to set up an automated website to handle high demand from thieves and scam artists. His clients enjoyed a sophisticated shopping interface where they could search for exactly what kind of stolen credit card data they wanted from you and me, make their purchase with a secure online shopping cart, and download the stolen goods as soon as their payments cleared. Do you understand this? So this is who Joe Biden frees: a Russian spy, a merchant of death, a guy who does smuggled weapons for Russia and criminal enterprises. And, this is unbelievable, right? But that's what he does. Anything. And then he goes, look at me! Dude, anybody can get a hostage back if you pay enough money or send enough bad guys their way. That is not skill. Skill is instilling fear and respect and putting your cojones on the table like Trump did and getting 57 hostages or 55 hostages back without paying anything or giving anything in exchange. No terrorists and no criminals were set free, and no assassins and no spies and no war criminals or warlords were set free, and Trump got more back than all of 8 years of Obama. There you go. So there's your guy you want to think about, talk about, not Joe Biden. You're a hero if you bribe people? Or you give up valued prisoners, real criminals, for fake criminals, our people. Okay, coming up next, you have no idea how much I'm chomping at the bit for this one. It is a wild and amazing story, and we are on the precipice of a breakout of Middle East war, which we will be involved in if this happens. It is this thin. It's about to happen. I cannot wait to get into the details, the gripping, compelling, incredible details about how 3 senior, and including the most top of them all, Hamas terrorists who are funded and trained and work at the behest, at the pleasure of Iran, who Joe Biden gives tens of billions of dollars a month to by taking off the sanctions, letting them pump 3% of the world's oil when they had none of that under Trump. And also took the Houthis, one of the huge terrorist organizations out of Yemen that's shooting. We were at the... I'll wait. We gotta go, don't we? All right, I'm going to tell you everything. I can't wait. You can tell I'm just chomping at the bit. So coming up next, we're going to talk about how concerned you are that Iranians are going to have a nuclear bomb in a few days. Like within a few weeks, they're going to actually have enough material. And then who do you trust to bring peace to the Middle East again, Trump or Biden, Kamala, and why? How unstable do you think the Middle East, Ukraine, China, and North Korea tensions would have been under President Trump if we were in his 4th year? His 3rd, 4th year, whatever it is. All right, that's all next. Chris Krok Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-9227 is our number. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 1-800-288-9227 is our number. That's 1-800-288-9227. What has happened in the past several days in the Middle East has been incredible. Because, let me start out with this. When we've heard over the years that Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism. So many people just say that. I've said that. I'm like, I didn't appreciate it in any way, shape, or form. Really know what it meant until Israel, a ceasefire was broken. On October 6th, there was a ceasefire. It was peace. And then on October 7th, Hamas, the terrorist group that has been elected twice by Gazans, invaded Israel from the sky and from land and killed 1,200 people, 1,200 people in a couple hours, 5 hours, 3 hours. They went into kibbutzim, which are small villages, farming villages that are real close to Gaza. There may be, there's a buffer zone, and then there are little villages. They went in there, and they, one woman and husband and their kids, they put the women and dad on the ground. They cut mom's breasts off one at a time in front of her husband and their kids. And then the dad, they literally gouged his eyes out while he's alive in front of everybody. And then they killed mom and dad. And then I think they killed the kids. They beheaded babies. A lot of this is on video. They recorded it and they put it out on they had like headset GoPro cams. They also came from the sky on paragliders with, a little propeller. And that's from Iran. Iran did all this. They trained them, they paid for it, and they armed them. Joe Biden paid for all this too, by the way, because he'd been giving, that was his 2.5, 3 years into Joe giving Iran the ability to pump 3 million barrels of oil a day, which is 3% of the world's oil, which is tens of billions of dollars a month that Trump never gave them. They were crippled under Trump. So he funded this. And then they came in on the parasailers. They came into a peace concert. They were raising money or celebrating peace at a big concert. And they shot and killed hundreds of innocent teens and 20-somethings, and the women who were attractive in their eyes, they gang raped them, and one of them was gang raped, and they cut off her breast while they were gang raping her, and they held it in their hand, they played with it like it was a toy and laughed and threw it on the ground before executing her. Another woman was gang raped, and in front of all these people that were running, flying or just running away, they at the end of the gang rape, while they were still doing it, they blew her back of the brains out from the back of the head. So this is Satan, and these people, the number one thing they say is death to Israel, and the number two thing they say is death to America. And they answer to, and they are the bastard children who are funded, trained, and armed and directed. They will do nothing without Iran telling them what to do. Iran will have enough nuclear material to make a nuclear bomb within a few weeks, and then within a year, they'll have the actual missile to deliver it. And what that means is a nation who literally says death to Israel, death to America, and it publicly states all the time the number one goal is to wipe Israel off the map. It is to bring them to paradise. These guys are Al-Qaeda times 2. And that's who they fund in the south of Israel. It's actually they border Saudi Arabia, which is Yemen. It's a governmentless desert hellhole, third world country. And the Houthis are a terrorist organization that Trump put on, the strict terrorist organization, so they couldn't do anything. The moment Biden took over, he took them off the terror watch list. And they immediately got all this funding and money, and they already had it, but in training and arms more. And they have been attacking our Navy so hardly and so harshly that the naval commander of the Navy said that we are at the highest amount of war like physical battles, sea battles, than we have been since World War II right now. And Joe Biden has allowed this. These dirt-herding terrorist goat herders without a dang thing in their pocket, funded and trained with serious weapons. You're talking 9-hour drone fights with warships, our warships in the sky. And we can't just take them out. You have no idea how serious this is with these drones and all the capabilities that Iran trains them and gives them. So we could kill them in a second. Joe Biden will not do it. When he got called out for a year, 2 or 3 later, and all this is going on, why aren't they on the terror watch list? He put them on a wimp terror watch list. It's nothing like the one that Trump had. So They're still doing that because Joe lets them. Number two, from the north of Israel, you have Lebanon, and you have a notorious, tremendous, massive terror group named Hezbollah. Hezbollah are the ones who blew up the barracks, the Marine barracks, in, was it Lebanon, I think it was, or something? And they killed 241 of our soldiers. You understand this? They murdered 241 of black, white, brown, Asian babies, our kids. Well, you know what I mean? Well, I'm 50. My kid's the same age. He could be in the military. He could die. They killed our kids. And that was under Reagan. It wasn't his fault. It just happened. And we learned a lesson. But here's the deal. Those son of a bees have been armed more than any of the terrorist groups that Iran funds and directs. They do nothing with Iran. Iran is their master. You understand? Just like Hamas. Hamas the same way. Just so you know, the people of Gaza, you do not want one of them here. They hate us and they hate Jews. They voted for Hamas twice to govern them. And they literally voted, there was a survey done after those Jews, 1,200 of them were raped and murdered. And then 280 hostages were taken that day. Women, grandmas, children, babies. Kafir Bibis is a baby who's still there with their custody. We have 8 Americans there. Joe Biden had done a damn thing, excuse my language. Trump would have sent in our SEAL Team 6 type of a thing with military operatives, and we would have gotten in there and put hell on them. Joe has put the genital cuffs on Israel and said, don't do a damn thing without me. Now, listen, Hezbollah has missiles that are super advanced, like scary missiles that they usually don't have. They can target Jerusalem in the biggest, the capital of the city. They can target Jerusalem. You got to understand something. There's thousands and tens of thousands of Americans that live there, dual citizenships, etc. So this is not a game. And they can target a pinprick in Jerusalem with a missile that'll blow up God knows how big. I'm talking maybe 4 city blocks wide. I mean, we're talking mass devastation. And so that's in the north of Israel, bordering it. And then you've got Iran to the east, and you got Syria, which is they fund terrorism there. In fact, the Iranian Republican Revolutionary Guard, one of their generals was in Damascus, Syria. We're in Syria. We have small bases in there because we're fighting and killing ISIS all the time still right now. And Iran is besties with Bashar al-Assad, the dictator, who gassed his people, and Barack Obama said, don't gas him, that's a red line. He gassed him, and Obama did nothing. Just like when Putin invaded Ukraine, and he didn't do anything for 4 years under Trump, and he comes out and he does it, and he's wildly successful so far with Biden, who said, oh, you get a little incursion's okay. 70,000 Russian troops surrounded it. He did nothing. And now you have this. So now you got the lay of the land. Israel, Biden has told Israel all the time, do not continue to fight this war. Let Hamas win. Don't finish them off. Don't stay in Gaza, where 3 out of every 4. Listen, there was a survey done after October 7th. All the Jews dead. 280 of them are in custody. Hostages kidnapped. And the women are being sexually tortured, documented by the United Nations. Man just was freed recently, and he was raped by them, too. He said, no man says that if that wasn't happening. Yeah, he didn't show his face either. You know, this guy's voice and everything. If it was me, I would share, but I wouldn't want anybody to know it was me. I mean, it's intensely painful. But the point is, 72% of Gazans voted in a survey, as reported by Reuters news agency, and it's all over all the news. 3 out of 4 of them, almost exactly, 3 out of 4 Gazans supported Hamas after they raped and murdered and were still raping Jews, and they're staying in their houses. Okay? So they want to rape Jews. They want to kill them. They want to behead them. They want to see massive blood pouring down the streets of Jews. That's who they are. Not one of them should be here, not one. And the only Palestinian American we have, or Gazan American we have here, is a woman who hates Jews and supports Hamas, Rashida Tlaib. And she has a very overwhelming Muslim district, which is fine. But here's the thing, a lot of hotbed of radical Islam. And that's what we have going on. Now, under that, Biden has not allowed Israel to fully defend itself while it lies and says it's back on them 100%. In fact, I'll pause it right there because when we come up next, we'll talk about the latest action, unprovoked action that Hezbollah did, killing innocent children in Israel. And so what they did and what has happened since then, which is assassinations. Israel is incredible. I'm so proud of these guys. I love these guys. And they have gone and little by little killed these sons of B terrorists, Satan worshipers is what they are. Including the highest of the high, one of the 3 billionaires that's in 5-star luxury in a Qatari hotel, because Qatar loves them some Jew-hating killers. They love them. And one of them's dead. And he was in the capital of Iran, Tehran, and he's dead because Israel's badass like that. Excuse my language. I get intense with this. Coming up next, I'm going to ask you a few questions. How concerned are you that the Iranians are going to have a nuclear bomb? And who do you trust to bring peace to the Middle East again? Trump or Biden Kamala, and why? And how unstable do you think the Middle East, Ukraine, China, and North Korea tensions would have been under President Trump if he were in right now? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Who they killed in the past 72 hours, that is incredible. And an amazing feat that you should fear the Star of David as it crushes the terrorist gleefully for me and for most of us. 800-288-WBAP, Chris Krok, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. Here's what Israel did in 72 hours. You know, Joe Biden and Kamala they withheld and they're banning the bunker buster missiles for Israel. The bombs that'll go to their 2,000-pound bombs, because they are afraid that it'll inflame and make things worse, and they're not letting Israel finish the job. Guess what? That's what they used to take out one of the highest persons that they had in Hamas, the literal mastermind, one of the two masterminds of the October 7th slaughtering and kidnapping, Mohammed Def. They bombed him with a bomb that Biden and Kamala won't give him anymore. And that bomb is what killed Mohammed Def, who literally is one of the top 2 Hamas people that literally planned and executed. They also, this is how badass they are. Excuse my language again, but I have to say what it is. 2 months ago, Israeli intelligence, the Mossad or the Shin Bet, one of the two, whatever, it's the Mossad, they snuck in a bomb into a compound that is for elites with the Iranian government, and they put it in this apartment. And 2 months later, he showed up, and he's literally smiling and shaking the hand at the inauguration of the new Iranian president. He goes back to his hotel, and a couple hours later, he goes, not his hotel, but goes back to his room, and now, yesterday it was reported it was a missile launched in Tehran, inside of Iran, with a spiked missile, but it's not. It was a bomb planted 2 months ago, and they waited, and they waited, and they waited, and they killed literally his, I gotta make sure I say his name right, Hanaya. I think it's Ismail Hanaya. I gotta double check. Anyways, listen to this. Here. Ismail Haniyeh. He was the entire political chief over everything, and he was one of the 3 billionaires who he and his sons fly the world, and they live in 5-star luxury in a high-rise in Qatar. He's dead. He was on the ground praising Allah, his false god, actually. He wasn't worshiping any god. He was worshiping Satan. He was praising him and on his knees when those Jews were killed and everything, and tortured and sexually tortured and raped and kidnapped. He's dead. So you had those two. The one with Mohammed Def was a couple weeks ago, but it was confirmed only yesterday into today. And then he also did what Joe Biden said. Joe Biden warned Israel and Kamala, don't strike Beirut, which is the capital of Lebanon, even though a couple days earlier, the top Hezbollah terrorists to the north in Lebanon, in Beirut, had ordered a missile strike that killed 12 children that were playing on a freaking tennis or baseball, whatever it was, a basketball or tennis court. 12 little children in a village in the northern part of Israel. And so Joe says, hey, don't do anything. Don't strike back. What did Israel do? They flipped in the bird, and they did what you got to do to beat terrorists. The only thing they respect is getting their you-know-what's kicked and losing in power. That's Trump, not Biden, not Kamala. Kamala doesn't know her butt from a hole in the ground from anything. Biden makes everything the opposite worse. Kamala signed off in Afghanistan. She was the last one in the room. She loved it. She still says it. She's that dumb. But anyway, so what did he do? He bombed, and they said, do not bomb in Beirut, the capital. He bombed in Beirut, and he killed that SOB who was the head of the operation that killed the kids. One of the top people, or the top person in Hamas, or Hezbollah. 3 in 72 hours confirmed or killed, including the highest of the high. We got one left at the top, and that is Yahya Sinwar, who is one of the two that were in charge of everything and the executors of the plan. Yahya Sinwar is still in Gaza. The other guy, Mohammed Def, was. Anyway, here we are, John in Grapevine. John, you're on WBAP. Welcome.
I appreciate that, and I'm very concerned. I'll answer your questions, and then if you want to ask me something, go ahead. I have no sympathy for the people that were executed because they were murdering terrorists. And I have no sympathy for the people in Gaza. They voted this leadership in, and they have brought destruction and reprisal upon themselves.
And 3/4 of them
votes.
still support this.
Oh, yes.
Or Hamas. They still support it. They love killing Jews and raping them. They love it.
Well, you didn't go into some of the really gory details of what was done on October the 7th, and I'm not going to either.
Well,
I would tell you in private. I will not tell you.
Mine were pretty bad as it ever has been described. I tell the truth.
Well, I will tell you this much.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those babies were not only beheaded,
they were raped.
Some of them were put into ovens while they were alive.
Yes, that too. And some of the babies were raped, and some of the men were raped, and many of the women were raped. Yeah, no, you're right. I forgot about that part, and I'm glad you said that. All of it needs to be told, just like the Holocaust. These people love Hitler. In fact, Mein Kampf is in their rooms on these seizures. I got to roll in a second, but did you have something that's 10 seconds long?
I want to tell you that the Mossad has the best intelligence in the world.
Yes.
And they are the ones that took out the Hamas leader.
Yes. All right. Thank you. I want to tell you about two things when we come back. Munich 72, when the it was Iran that sent its terrorists in to hold hostage and then eventually kill the entire Olympic team, the men's team, in 1972 Olympics, and how they went and got them all one by one. But the other thing is this: Kamala Harris's gift to Hamas from the Wall Street Journal, some highlights from it that you must hear. And also how important these actions have been for Israel that Joe Biden didn't want them to do, but they're very successful in why they work with terrorists. All that is next, and that's why Trump works, and Kamala is a joke, and Biden's a joke. We are losing, and that's why we have 3 wars on this world stage. I'll continue with that next. Our number is 800-288-WBAP. How concerned are you that Iranians are about to have a nuclear bomb? Who do you trust to bring peace to the Middle East again, Trump or Biden and Kamala? Why? And how unstable do you think the Middle East, Ukraine, China, and North Korea tensions would have been under President Trump? I'll get to that too next.